The hotel ballroom was full of noise, laughter, and old memories. Soft yellow lights hung from the ceiling, and a banner near the door read, Riverview High School, 30-year reunion. People hugged, smiled, and showed off their success like trophies. Expensive suits, shining watches, perfect hair. Everyone wanted to be seen. At the far end of the room stood Elena Carter, age 52, holding a small glass of water. She wore a simple blue dress. It was clean and neat, but nothing special. Her hair was tied back. No makeup to hide the tired lines on her face. She looked calm, but inside, her chest felt tight. No one noticed her. Elena watched as old classmates laughed loudly. They talked about businesses, vacations, and big houses. Some showed photos of their children studying abroad. Others talked about retirement plans and investments. Every word reminded Elena of how far away she felt from all of this. She took a slow breath and looked around, hoping someone would recognize her. No one did. A group of women stood near the buffet table. They were once her friends, or at least she thought so. Elena walked closer, hoping to join the conversation. One of the women glanced at her, then quickly looked away. Another whispered something and laughed softly. Elena stopped walking. She understood. She had changed. Life had not been kind to her. After her divorce, after years of working small jobs, after losing her home and starting again, she no longer looked like someone worth talking to. She stepped back and leaned against the wall. Memories rushed into her mind. 30 years ago, Elena had been different. She was smart, confident, and admired. Teachers praised her. Boys noticed her. And one boy, more than anyone else, had loved her deeply. Daniel Royce. The thought of his name made her fingers tighten around the glass. Daniel had been quiet in school. Not popular. Not rich. But he was kind, serious, and full of dreams. He used to talk about building something big one day. A company. A future. A life with her. But Elena had wanted more security, more comfort, more certainty. When Daniel proposed to her after graduation, she had laughed. She remembered his face that day. Shocked. Hurt. Still hopeful. I can't wait for dreams, she had told him. I need a real life. She left him standing there with a ring and a broken heart. Soon after, Daniel disappeared from town. Elena married someone else. A man with money. A man with a car and a good job. At first, she thought she had chosen right. But the marriage slowly turned cold. Then cruel. Then empty. Now, after many years, she stood alone at a reunion where no one cared she existed. A loud voice suddenly echoed near the entrance. Did you hear? Someone said. A special guest just arrived. People turned their heads. Elena did too. A tall man in a dark suit walked into the room. His presence was calm, but powerful. He didn't smile. He didn't rush. People made space for him, without knowing why. Whispers spread fast. That's him. No way. Is that really Daniel Royce? Elena's heart skipped. Daniel? She leaned forward, trying to see clearly. The man looked older, but strong. His hair had a touch of gray. His eyes were sharp and confident. Someone near the door spoke louder this time. That's Daniel Royce, the billionaire investor. He owns Royce Global. The room exploded with excitement. People rushed toward him, shaking hands, smiling wide. The same people who ignored Elena now pushed past her without apology. Elena felt dizzy. Billionaire? Her hands began to shake. She remembered the boy who once borrowed lunch money. The boy she had rejected because he had nothing. And now he had everything. Daniel stood surrounded by attention, but his eyes scanned the room calmly. Then they stopped. They landed on Elena. For a brief moment, the noise around them faded. Daniel's expression did not change, but his eyes showed recognition. Not surprise. Not joy. Just quiet understanding. Elena swallowed hard. She didn't wave. She didn't smile. She felt too small, too exposed. Daniel looked away. Just like that. The pain hit her deeper than she expected. Soon, people began talking again. Laughing. Asking Daniel questions. inviting him to sit with them. Elena slipped out to the balcony. Cold night air touched her face. She closed her eyes, fighting tears. She thought this reunion would remind her of happy times. Instead, it showed her everything she had lost and everything she had walked away from. Inside the ballroom, Daniel lifted his glass to speak. His voice was calm but strong. "It's good to see familiar faces," he said. "Life takes strange turns." Elena heard his words through the open door. She didn't know it yet, but Daniel had not come back by accident. And he had not forgotten her. What would happen next would change everything, for both of them. Elena stayed on the balcony longer than she should have. The cold air helped her breathe, but it could not calm her thoughts. Inside, the reunion continued like a celebration, but for her, it felt like a reminder of every wrong turn she had taken in life. She finally went back inside. The room felt different now. People spoke louder, laughed harder. Everyone wanted Daniel's attention. Men who once ignored him now stood proudly beside him. Women who never noticed him in school fixed their hair and smiled sweetly. Elena kept her eyes low and walked toward a quiet corner. She did not want to be seen, but fate had other plans. "Elena?" The voice was calm, familiar, strong. Her body froze. She slowly turned around. Daniel Royce stood a few steps away. Up close, he looked even more different. Confident, controlled, powerful. The shy boy was gone. This man had seen the world and conquered it. "Yes," she said softly. "It's me." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Years of memories stood between them like a wall. "You look well," Daniel said politely. It was a simple sentence, but Elena felt something sharp in her chest. She nodded. "So do you," she replied. "Congratulations on everything." Daniel gave a small nod. Not proud, not proudless. Just calm. "Thank you." People nearby tried to listen without looking obvious. Elena noticed. She felt like she was back in school again, being watched, judged, measured. Daniel gestured toward a quiet table near the window. "Would you like to sit for a moment?" She hesitated. Every part of her wanted to say no. But another part, the part that still remembered the past, made her agree. They sat. The silence felt heavy. "I didn't expect to see you here," Elena finally said. "I almost didn't come," Daniel replied. "But life has a way of bringing us back to places we ran from." Elena lowered her eyes. She knew what he meant. "I heard you've done very well," she said. Daniel looked at her carefully. "Money is loud. That's why people notice it." His words were not cruel, but they carried truth. Elena felt exposed. "How have you been?" he asked. Elena wanted to lie. She wanted to say she was happy, successful, respected. But the tired look on her face told the truth before her mouth could. "I've had a simple life," she said. "Not easy, but simple." Daniel nodded slowly. He did not ask more. Across the room, a woman named Marissa, one of Elena's old classmates, watched closely. Marissa had always liked attention. She noticed how Daniel sat with Elena, and she did not like it. Marissa walked over with a bright smile. "Daniel, we were just talking about you," she said. Then she looked at Elena and raised an eyebrow. "Oh, Elena, I didn't see you there." Elena forced a polite smile. Daniel stood up. "I was just catching up with an old friend." Marissa laughed lightly. "Oh, really? That's nice. Elena, you must be so proud. Sitting with someone like Daniel." The words sounded friendly, but the tone was sharp. Elena felt her face grow warm. Daniel looked at Marissa calmly. "Elena has always been someone worth sitting with." Marissa's smile froze for half a second. "Oh, of course," she said quickly. "Well, Daniel, everyone is waiting for you. We planned a special table." Daniel glanced at Elena. "Excuse me." As he walked away, people surrounded him again like moths to a flame. Elena sat still. She should have felt happy, protected, but instead, she felt small. Daniel's words were kind, but they reminded her of what she had once thrown away. Later that evening, Elena stood near the exit, ready to leave early. She told herself this night was already too much. As she reached for her coat, a man blocked her path. It was Richard Hale, her ex-husband. He looked older, heavier, and tired. His suit was expensive, but his eyes were restless. "Elena," he said with surprise. "Didn't expect to see you here." She stiffened. "Richard." "I heard you were struggling," he said, lowering his voice. "Life didn't turn out how you planned, huh?" Before she could answer, Richard smirked. "Funny thing, Daniel Royce is here. I remember him. You chose me over him." Elena said nothing. Richard leaned closer. "Looks like you chose wrong." The words cut deep. Suddenly, a familiar voice spoke behind them. "Richard Hale," Daniel said calmly. "It's been a long time." Richard turned, startled. Daniel's presence changed the air. "I believe you're blocking Elena's way," Daniel continued. "She was leaving." Richard laughed nervously. "Oh, we were just talking." Daniel's eyes were cold now. "Good. Then the conversation is over." Richard stepped aside. Elena walked out without looking back. From the doorway, Daniel watched her go. He did not follow. But inside his mind, something old stirred, something unfinished. This reunion was not just about memories anymore. It was the beginning of something much bigger. And for the first time, Elena did not know if Daniel's return would save her or destroy her. Elena did not sleep that night. She lay on her small bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment from the reunion. Daniel's voice, his calm eyes, Richard's cruel smile. 30 years of choices pressed down on her chest like a heavy weight. By morning, she was exhausted. She made herself a cup of weak coffee and sat at the small table in her apartment. The place was clean but empty. No pictures on the walls. No signs of celebration. This was not the life she once dreamed of. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Daniel Royce. I hope you got home safely. If you're free today, I would like to talk." "Just talk." Elena stared at the screen. Her first instinct was to ignore it. Talking to Daniel felt dangerous. It opened doors she had closed long ago. But another part of her, tired of running, typed back. "Okay." They met that afternoon at a quiet cafe near the river. It was simple, peaceful, far from the noise of the reunion. Daniel was already there when Elena arrived, sitting by the window. He stood when he saw her. "Thank you for coming," he said. They ordered coffee. For a few minutes, they spoke about small things, the weather, the town, how it had changed. It felt strange, but familiar. Finally, Daniel leaned back and looked at her seriously. "I didn't come back just for the reunion," he said. Elena's fingers tightened around her cup. "I came because this town still controls many things," he continued. "Businesses, property, people." She looked at him, confused. "I'm planning a large investment here," Daniel said. "A development project. It will change this place." Elena nodded slowly. "That sounds important." "It is," Daniel agreed. "And some people here don't want it." She immediately thought of Richard. "He works in property now," Elena said quietly. "Richard." Daniel nodded. "I know. That's not a coincidence." Elena's heart began to race. "Daniel, why are you telling me this?" He was silent for a moment. "Because Richard used you," Daniel said. "And he's still doing it." Elena flinched. "He borrowed money using your name," Daniel continued calmly. "He blocked permits. He manipulated contracts. He thought you were too small to fight back." Tears filled Elena's eyes. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I believe you," Daniel said. "But I also know something else." He leaned forward. "Richard and others like him never pay for what they do," Daniel said. "Unless someone strong enough forces them to." Elena looked up. "Are you saying revenge?" Daniel did not smile. "I'm saying justice," he replied. Silence filled the space between them. Elena stood up suddenly. "I can't be part of this," she said. "I've lived too much pain. I don't want more." Daniel nodded. "I understand." She left the cafe with shaking hands. But that evening, Elena received another message. This time from the bank. Notice of debt review. Her account was frozen. Richard had done it again. She called him immediately. You used my name, she cried. Richard laughed. Relax. You don't have anything to lose. The words broke something inside her. That night, Elena stood by her window, watching the city lights. She thought of the reunion, the laughter, the humiliation. She thought of Daniel's calm strength. For the first time in years, anger replaced fear. The next day, Elena went back to the cafe. Daniel was surprised to see her. I changed my mind, she said. I won't hide anymore. Daniel studied her face. What do you want? He asked. Elena spoke slowly. I want the truth to come out. I want Richard to feel what I felt. Daniel nodded once. Then we do this carefully. Over the next days, Daniel's team uncovered everything. Fake contracts, stolen money, bribes. Elena learned how deeply Richard and his friends controlled the town. But she also learned something else. Daniel was not doing this for revenge alone. You rejected me once, he told her quietly one evening. But I never stopped believing in you. His words shook her. I don't deserve that, Elena said. People grow, Daniel replied. Some fall. Some rise again. Meanwhile, Richard noticed changes. Permits delayed. Accounts questioned. Calls unanswered. He grew nervous. At a city meeting, Daniel publicly announced his project. The room was full. Richard sat in the front row. Daniel's eyes locked on him as he spoke. This town deserves honesty, Daniel said. And anyone who built power through lies will be exposed. Richard's face turned pale. Elena watched from the back. For the first time in her life, she was not invisible. And this was only the beginning. The city meeting ended in loud discussion. People stood in small groups, whispering and arguing. Daniel's announcement had shaken the room. No one said names out loud, but everyone knew who he was talking about. Richard left early. Elena noticed how fast he walked, how he avoided eye contact. For years, he had enjoyed power. Now, power was starting to slip from his hands. Outside the building, Daniel stood calmly while reporters asked questions. His answers were careful, respectful, and firm. He spoke about jobs, growth, and fairness. He never mentioned revenge. Elena watched from a distance. She felt nervous, but strong at the same time. Later that night, Elena received a call. It was Marissa. I heard you and Daniel are very close now, Marissa said with fake sweetness. Must be nice. Elena took a slow breath. Why are you calling? Marissa laughed softly. Just warning you. People are talking. They think you're using him. Elena smiled for the first time in a long while. Let them talk. Marissa went quiet. The next week, everything moved fast. Richard's office was searched. His bank accounts were reviewed. His partners stopped answering his calls. Men who once smiled at him now avoided him in public. Elena saw him one afternoon outside a cafe, shouting into his phone. No. You can't do this to me, he yelled. People stared. Elena walked past him without stopping. For once, she felt free. Daniel invited Elena to his office. It was modern, quiet, and full of light. She felt out of place at first. You belong here, Daniel said gently, noticing her discomfort. He showed her documents. Proof of fraud. Evidence tied directly to Richard. He used your trust, Daniel said. But you can take it back. Elena hesitated. What happens if I go forward? Daniel looked at her honestly. The town will know the truth. He will lose everything. There is no turning back. Elena closed her eyes. She remembered the insults, the fear, the feeling of being nothing. Then let it end, she said. News broke the next day. Local business leader under investigation for financial crimes. Richard's name was everywhere. At the same time, Daniel announced Elena as a consultant for the community part of his project. It was a simple title, but it meant respect. People noticed. At a local charity event, Elena walked in beside Daniel. Heads turned. Whispers followed. That's her, someone said. She's with him. Marissa stood near the stage. When she saw Elena, her smile faded. She approached quickly. Elena, I didn't realize you were involved in all this. Elena looked at her calmly. Life surprises us. Marissa forced a laugh. You're lucky. Elena met her eyes.
No, I'm honest.
Marissa stepped back. That evening, Richard showed up at Elena's apartment. He looked desperate. You did this, he said. You and him. Elena crossed her arms. You did this to yourself. Richard's voice shook.
Please.
Talk to Daniel. I'll fix it. Elena opened the door wider so neighbors could see. Leave, she said loudly. Richard walked away in shame. Days later, Richard was arrested. The town buzzed with shock. Elena watched the news in silence. Daniel stood beside her. It's over. She shook her head slowly.
No.
It's just changed. Daniel looked at her, curious. Elena turned to him. I don't want to be protected anymore. I want to stand on my own. Daniel smiled. That's why I respect you. For the first time, Elena felt something new, not revenge, not anger, but confidence. Yet not everyone was finished. Marissa watched everything closely, and she wasn't ready to lose. Life began to look brighter for Elena. She moved into a small but comfortable apartment closer to the city center. She had work that mattered. People greeted her with respect now. Some even asked for her opinion. But Elena knew better than to relax. Power never disappears quietly. One afternoon, Marissa invited Elena for coffee. I just want to clear the air, Marissa said warmly over the phone. We were young. We made mistakes. Elena hesitated. Something felt wrong. But she agreed. They met at a busy cafe. Marissa smiled too much. She talked too kindly. I admire you, Marissa said. You've changed your life. Elena listened carefully. Why now? Marissa sighed. Because people think I was close to Richard. I want distance. Elena nodded slowly. That night, an online article appeared. Billionaire investor accused of manipulating small town for personal gain. Daniel's name was everywhere. Elena's heart dropped. The article claimed Elena was part of a secret plan. It painted her as greedy and dishonest. Daniel called immediately. This is false, he said calmly. But it's organized. Elena knew the truth. Marissa. Evidence started spreading. Old photos, false messages, edited documents. People began to whisper again. Elena felt the old fear return. Daniel faced reporters the next day. The truth will come out, he said. But the damage was real. Elena went to Marissa's house. Why? Elena asked, her voice steady but cold. Marissa smiled. You took everything. I just evened things out. Elena left without shouting. She went straight to Daniel. I don't want you hurt because of me, Elena said. Daniel looked at her seriously. This fight isn't about you alone. That evening, Daniel's team traced the leaks. Fake accounts. Hidden payments. Marissa's name appeared everywhere. Elena realized something important. Revenge was not about destroying others. It was about standing in truth. At a public forum, Elena asked to speak. She stood alone on stage. I was ignored. I was used. I was silent, she said. But silence protects lies. She showed proof. Real messages. Bank records. Dates. The crowd grew quiet. Marissa tried to leave. Security stopped her. The truth was clear. Later that night, Elena sat with Daniel. You could have walked away, he said. Elena shook her head. Not anymore. She had changed. The town saw it too. But one last challenge remained. The town changed its tone overnight. The lies were exposed. The fake stories disappeared as quickly as they appeared. People who once whispered now spoke openly. They apologized. Some stayed silent out of shame. Elena felt the shift everywhere she went. At the grocery store, the cashier smiled at her. On the street, people nodded in respect. It felt unreal, like stepping into someone else's life. But peace had not fully arrived. Richard was released on bail. He showed up at Daniel's office without warning. I want a deal, Richard said, his voice tired and angry. You drop your support for Elena and I disappear. Daniel looked at him calmly. You already disappeared. You just don't know it yet. Richard leaned closer. She ruined me. Daniel stood up. You ruined yourself. Richard left with nothing. That evening, Elena received a message from Richard.
Meet me.
Just once. Foreclosure. Elena showed it to Daniel. You don't owe him anything, Daniel said. I owe myself, she replied. They met in a public park during daylight. Elena kept her phone recording. Richard looked smaller than before.
Broken.
I loved you, he said suddenly. Elena did not react.
No. You owned me.
Richard's face twisted. You think you're strong now. Elena smiled gently. I am. She walked away. Days later, Richard was officially charged. His partners turned against him. His power was gone. Marissa tried to leave town. She was stopped at the airport. The story was over. Or so it seemed. Daniel invited Elena to a quiet dinner by the river. You've changed, he said. So have you, Elena replied. They spoke honestly for the first time in decades. I hurt you, Elena said softly. Daniel nodded.
Yes.
But that pain built who I am. Elena looked at the water. Do you regret coming back? Daniel shook his head.
No.
I came back to finish a chapter. Elena held her breath. And now? Daniel smiled. Now you write your own future. She felt peace. But one final choice remained. The courtroom was quiet. Elena sat in the back row, hands folded, breathing slowly. She did not feel nervous anymore. She felt ready. Richard stood at the front, his shoulders bent. The man who once controlled everything now waited for judgment. His lawyer spoke, but the words sounded empty. When the judge read the sentence, there was no joy in Elena's heart. Only calm. Justice did not need celebration. Outside the courthouse, reporters gathered, but Elena walked past them without stopping. This moment was not for the world. It was for her. Daniel waited near his car. It's done, he said. Elena nodded.
Yes.
It is. They drove in silence for a while. The town slowly returned to normal. New businesses opened. Daniel's project moved forward, creating jobs and rebuilding trust. Elena worked closely with community groups, helping people who felt forgotten, just like she once did. One evening, Elena stood on the same balcony where she had cried after the reunion. This time, the city lights felt warm, not cold. She smiled. The reunion felt like a lifetime ago. Weeks later, the school announced another gathering, this time, a charity event. Elena attended, not as a guest, but as a speaker. She walked onto the stage calmly. I was once invisible, she said. Not because I had no value, but because I forgot my own. The room listened. Revenge didn't save me.
Truth did.
Courage did. People stood and applauded. In the crowd, Marissa watched quietly. No anger, no pride, just regret. After the event, Daniel met Elena outside. You didn't need me, he said gently. Elena smiled.
No.
But you reminded me. They walked by the river. Daniel stopped. I won't ask for the past back, he said. But I would like to know the woman you are now. Elena looked at him, not as the boy she once rejected, not as the billionaire everyone admired, but as a man. I'd like that too, she said. Months later, Elena opened a small center for women rebuilding their lives. On the wall hung a simple sign, "You are not too late." She often thought about that reunion night, how she was ignored, judged, and underestimated, and how everything changed, not because a billionaire walked in, but because she finally stood up. Elena Carter was never invisible. She just had to see herself first. People may ignore your past, but they cannot stop your growth. True revenge is becoming someone who no longer needs revenge.